Okay, hello everybody. I really feel guilty because I'm in between you and the brunch. Again. I was to discuss about digital platforms and field tools. I'm not going into very details, but I'm trying to tell you about the project we have been running in Finland, where the digital platforms and tools are having very important role in carrying that. And the background for this project is that we are modernizing the environmental monitoring systems in Finland, especially the water monitoring systems. They are European systems, and I wish that also the Commission will accept someday this kind of thinking we are having. So we have been doing the things in about 200 years in the way we are doing it now, but we see that there are a lot of new technical solutions, new ways of operating, like citizen science, and we have started thinking about it. And we have think about constructing everything on the basis of remote sensing information, just to get rid of history writing to real time. From reference point data to geographic coverage of the information, and from traditional manual labs and very slow processes into optics and electronics. It's not only that, but that's the base. Another things are the field sensors which we are equipping at the moment. We are really wanting to, for example, in rivers, to master very quick processes going on, some accidents happening there. But also citizen science is very important part of this, because we cannot afford anymore to have public administration doing things in the field. So there are several reasons why we have been considering citizen science. One is from expert power to joint commitment and cooperation, co-management. Also, citizen sensors, as we call them, it's the observations made by citizens. But also the open data. We opened all the data we have in Finland for use for anybody, and especially in this project, we want to make it also usable. It's open, but it's technically sometimes requires 20 decisions to find it. So what we are doing, trying to make it more usable. But I think the fourth point I have here is the most important. When we shift this system, what we are actually doing, we are integrating several sources of information. And for example, people speak about quality control of citizen measurements. I think it's nonsense, because all the measurements are noisy. You just have to know how noisy they are, and then you can combine several sources of information. And that's done by making data fusion, making methods of big data, and so on. That's what we are doing a lot. And what is the solution is to analysis of uncertainty instead of having averages or medians or things like that. Here is one example. For example, this is Helsinki, the center of Helsinki. It's a satellite image. We are using it with schools. The school children are making measurements in this area, and they can combine the information from satellites, which are also numerically available several times a week. You get the information, and by combining it with your own measurements, you get much more than just by doing you are really in the process, real process, working with us. So why did we choose schools for monitoring? The most important thing was that we got a national new curriculum about 1.5 years ago, and it's emphasizing phenomenon-based or learning by doing, phenomenon-based learning, having, I think, 7 sectors which are here. I will go just a little bit in details of that. Another thing is that we know we have 51,000 academically talented teachers in our schools, and they are not in use at the moment, and we could have a lot of expertise by just working with them. We really appreciate it, and we have already a lot of experience. They are very interested, and they have been missing us actually. So we didn't have to do very much work to get them to work with us. So why monitoring in schools? Those sectors I've shown you, for example, thinking and learning to learn. By studying things in a real learning environments, you can do much more than by sitting in the classroom. Especially boys, we have seen it. They are not very eager, especially boys of certain age, 12 to 15. They are quite alive, but they are in the nature or in the shopping center, whatsoever, in the real environment. They really want to work with us. There was also cultural skills and communication. We worked with our Portuguese friends. We invited our friends or some school children from Portugal to Finland. We had a science conference there. The students were 12 to 15 years in age, and they were communicating, I would say, much better than in this science seminar we are here. They are not native English speakers, but still they did very, very well. So we are speaking about us old Finns about communication skills, but they have it. Multiliteracy, we need in this environmental stuff, we need different ways of communicating, making videos, movies, conferences, and so on. It's very easy and it's very natural when we take the children to work with us. And we have been very happy to see that they are really talented, even much better than us, for example, making videos and things like that. YouTube is very familiar to them, not to us, probably. Also, skills in IT and technology. We have organized, for example, 6th grade courses where children are constructing weather stations of their own. It's a maker movement kind of do. And then they have a cloud service where they put it and they can see the weather all over the Europe. There are, I think, in the system we are using 1,200 weather stations everywhere in Europe, and our children, they can compare their weather or Finnish weather with, they have their own system. They don't need any more weather services, official ones. This is how it all started. We happened to find a small town in Finland where everybody wanted to support education. There was the city mayor, he was very much in that, school administrators, teacher education happened to be in that place, local administration, the county administration there, outdoorists were with, Chamber of Commerce wanted to give some resources. We got a professional journal with us. We published one journal which is published by water engineering professional. We did it with children, and we got a very good issue, and we got very good feedback from the readers. Enterprises were there, gaming thing. Then we had our Portuguese, Spanish, and historian friends, and my institute, my boss, the general director, is really supporting us. So this is how it started, and we were really encouraged to continue because everything seems to be going really well. So we started with a project called Waters Near My School. We started with that Young Citizen Science Week with our Portuguese friends. We started gamification stuff in schools. We had 24 schools, about 50 teachers, and about 1,000 students working in this first project. We, as I told you, published the professional journal, and it was really, really fun. Then we started also, or we have been developing tools for schools, not only for schools, but at the moment very much for schools. We have Lake Wiki, which is it's a system of all Finnish lakes. It's containing, I think, the basic information on 56 1,000 lakes. And you can have your own station there. The basic information is already there, but you can tell stories there, you can have your observations there, and so on. There are about 50,000 visitors every week, and there are about, I think, 2,000 stations which are vacantly, they are in use. For example, I'm having my station, my summer place, and I think I have already 500 observations of lake water quality and temperatures. Then here's one device we designed. You can fill it with water, and there are two optical elements. You take the photo and you send it to our clouds, and we return water quality things to you. Here is our rucksack or field backpack, and here is some instructions for another. So we developed that, and it was very important to have the instructions and tools, because teachers normally, I guess you can sign it, don't have too much time to develop their own tools. They have their books, but they should also have tools for a field. They should have platforms to be able to just start easily, and they will do it. Here's an example of the game we were playing yesterday. It works in the way that teacher makes a map or scans a map. Inside makes some task on the map, and the children are going, using the map, and they are going to the field, and they are solving their problems. Here they have been solving the SYKE disk measurements and something else, and the teacher is controlling the game from the classroom. He's the only one sitting, all the rest are going there, and it's like an amazing race. You get the response when you do it, and that's been really fun. And you can have different kind of tasks there. For example, once we had the task that there was a class of Spanish. The pupils, they had to go to a Spanish restaurant. If they could order food there and solve it, they got the response, and they got also some tapas. Yeah, okay. So these our waters near my schools extended rather rapidly. Rotary clubs in Finland wanted to do something meaningful, and those people in those clubs in Finland, they very often are former directors of industries. Especially here in the places which I saw here, they were mostly the directors of pulp and paper milling, or the environmental directors of those, and they were really eager. And now they have been challenging us. You have your backpack is so childish, we want to do this, and so on. And they are doing their own job, and we just put it going, and now they are doing it by themselves. Sometimes we meet, and they are proud they are much better than we are, because they are grandfathers and grandmothers, and they have time. We don't have that much of time to work with children. Another thing I would mention here, our administration was a little bit jealous about what we were doing. They wanted to be in the same project, and now they want to do it in this very area, the administration, and we just are equipping them with those backpacks and the platforms, and they are doing it by themselves. Yeah. We started one project, we call it Far Out. It was meant very much for teachers first, and we are trying now. Teachers, we educate teachers. Teachers are trying our concept in the field, and then we get the feedback, and it's containing pedagogic game platform, water monitoring, plus we have also low carbon future as a substance there, and workshop of electronics and coding. It's mainly it has been the weather stations, because they can be commercially bought at a reasonable price. The components, students are composing them and coding them, and then they put them to work in the cloud, it's there. So here we have some new 3,000 students more. At the moment I think we have something like 6,000-7,000 students that have been in touch. Not all the teachers are that active, you know that, but at least they have been in education in any of those, in some of those projects. So what we are doing now, we are developing new equipment for the field, and this is, I think, very important because the platform is necessary, but the field equipment, it's like books in the lessons. You need them, and the instructions as well. So we have been a little bit towards the digital system, and actually we have had leased equipment from some consultants and really made professional stuff, especially with the high school students. We did some areas in Finland professionally with them. No professional were needed anymore, and then they had promised to continue it with us. We are, as one part of our workshops, we are constructing solar panels which are used with our weather stations, which are connected to cloud. So in about 1 day you construct all of this and you are having your own weather information. Sometimes with students a little bit longer. Now we developed also low-carbon energy pack. There are some cheap devices, and children are very eager in saving energy. For example, there is one community in Finland which saved in schools so much energy that they could reduce a bit of taxation. And what else? The children were working by 50 to 50 principle. They got half of the profit of the saving to their use. For example, excursions and things like that. Normally they are selling biscuits, but here they were saving energy. The latest what we have started is our snow campaign. We have 2 types of campaigns. One is for small children, and this is for more advanced students. It's a snow tube. You measure the thickness of snow, and you measure the weight of the snow. You know, for example, you can calculate how much weighing is on your roof, for example. It's having also the instructions. And then this is for the younger children, so they construct a snowman. And then they are following whole spring when it's melting, and they are making observations. And this has been really popular, especially teachers have loved it. Yeah, because it's also a very meaningful information. And when I speak about uncertainty or quality control, snowman measurements are not normally standardized by scientists. So as a summary, we have seen that digital platforms to save the observation, to distribute them and to show them are very important. And these systems we are sharing the public information with citizen information. You can see so-called official measurements and your measurements, and then you can compare also the measurements of the other school. We've seen that field tools are very important, and the instructions with them, because they are ready-made for lessons, and teachers can readily adapt them, and they normally can read, and it's very easy to plan the lessons. Still, we have seen that to keep these systems going, we need campaigns now and then. There are some school classes which have been really working with us since the beginning, but sometimes things are slowing down because in schools there are other things to think about as well, and we have to we have to understand that. We didn't understand it in the beginning. Also, what I said also yesterday, bureaucracy and the support from administration, especially school administration, and in Finland the schools are under municipal administration. That's very important. And if you also can involve some enterprises, some NGOs and so on, it's very good because you got the resources as well. Then also, what I would emphasize, nothing is working before the whole chain is working here. For example, with us, if the field system is missing, it's not working. If platform is missing, it's working. If motivation is missing, it's not working. So you have to have the whole chain, and you have to have the process. You have to think about it. Then we have seen that there are a huge amount of different kind of projects with schools and citizen science. We have been really lucky in combining efforts of at least 15 different actors, and that's important, because normally we all are very selfish and we want to do our job, but we've seen that sometimes you have to give people some credits of doing, even though you were doing it, just to get them with. And this is what I want to emphasize. Do not kill the motivation by emphasizing quality control. Be academic and be smart, and use your brains. Big data methods are available. We can make use of very fuzzy data as well. Thank you.
I was wondering a bit more about your multi-source data in school. So how do you integrate then the Sentinel, because I know it's not easy to download.
Naturally, we were speaking about multi-source data, but as an engineer and natural scientist, we in the beginning were very fascinated with our field tools and so on. But all of a sudden, for example, it was one 6th grade class students. They said, we are not going to pick any water samples. We want to start with going to town and asking people what they appreciate about in the environment. What are their values in the environment? And they made a social inquiry about that. Also, there is one school which is speaking, in the school they are speaking 24 languages. It is for refugees coming to Finland. They are translating our instructions of those backpacks into Arabic. They have promised to do it to Thai language and so on in the language classes. So there is a lot of creative people in school. So there was also one group of teachers who wanted to make the environmental history of the place where they are staying from 1890 up to today, and they did it. It's a very beautiful project there. So we didn't discover all the things, but we were saying that we want them to approach from different disciplines. History teachers are very enthusiastic about that.
Yesterday we discussed technology as being a kind of candy for promoting citizen science projects, but it attracts, in your case, it attracts teachers. Would you say that students are also attracted by the tools that you...
Yeah, absolutely, because that also I want to emphasize that we were, as engineers, we wanted to make very sophisticated digital tools but they were not very interested. They are much more interested in having a manual spectrometer. They put a pill in a tube and they can see that the color of the water is changing, for example. That was much more fascinating to them. But they are, yes. Absolutely.
Building tools would be the key.
Building tools it's one, yes. It's for certain age class. Normally I would say something like from 6th up to 9th or 10th grade. I would recommend it.
Who pays for all of the tools? Do the schools pay for them?
We have had some national funding for this, but also we have got some grants from, say, for example, Rotary organizations. They have been collecting, especially, they normally want to be very local. They want to have it on their own town, even though normally they have been supporting things from abroad. But now I've seen that they are very local, but we don't mind.
The last question?
Yeah, so it's not a question, but I want to compliment you on a couple of things, because I found it very impressive how you managed to build a community around your topic and project, and the development of the tools. I'm sure my students will love it. And
I'd like to share my experience with you if you are just interested. I welcome you all. We need, for example, this we need in all of Europe.
I think it's a great example of how to bring citizen science easy accessible for teachers and schools.
Yeah.
So, compliments for that. Thank you.
I think like you, that it must be a natural part of your teaching. It's not the rocket science or something very.
Sorry, just to know the price of like the battery sewing tools.
What's the price?
Yeah, just to have an idea.
The back, I think at the moment it's something like if you don't have the tax with, because now they 60 euros.
And that's why it's group or person?
Sorry?
It's for a group or person?
Yeah, normally it's for, we have in one class we have 2 or 3 of those packs.
Okay.
But they are commercially available. We started from commercial products just to be the train moving. We have been dreaming of having very cheap ones and so on, but if we were doing, we are very few of us. We never were there.
Okay, thank you again.